Well, listen, I have big news. I've decided to get a job that actually helps people.
Ew, like a non-for-profit job?
Hannah, you're the most selfish person we know. I mean, you won't even share a Kit Kat.
Yeah, it's true. You're so selfish that when we lived together, you put the fire extinguisher in your own bedroom so you could have access to it first.
Well, that's going to be turned on its head, because you know what? I want to change the world.
Change the
Like
world.
all of it?
It's a big job. Why is this so flummoxing to all of you, me wanting to make a positive change?
Because I'm very skeptical of anyone who wants to help others. I mean, there's always some sort of hidden agenda.
100%. Mother Teresa loved being famous.
Hey everybody, welcome to Boys Watching Girls. We are just two boys watching HBO's Girls. We're reviewing every episode. We are your hosts. I am Joe Welke.
I am Vance.
And today we are talking about Season 4, Episode 6. Overall, this is Episode 38. This episode is titled Close Up. It is directed by Richard Shepard and written by Murray Miller. The original air date was February 22nd, 2015 to an audience of 477,000 people, 0.477 million. A bit of a increase from last time,
Yeah,
but
it's
still not
working its way back up to 500,000.
Yes, still not very good.
Yeah. Again, I don't know if I trust these Wikipedia.
I mean, absolutely, you should not. Yeah, I mean, I could look.
But
at
we
the,
started it. But we started, so we got to keep mentioning it at the beginning of every
Wikipedia
episode.
is our main source of information now. So you guys just have to roll with it.
Yeah, I'm sure people care so much about these numbers. Someone's got a chart
right?
in their bedroom, just writing it down.
Like, how is this possible? I feel like this episode is a real weird one.
It seems like another like bridge setup one, you know.
I feel like we talk about on this show a bunch that episodes are reset episodes, and I feel like this one was a reset. I feel like everybody is like refocusing on their goals, and like now people have new goals, people are in new relationships, and it just felt like we're at this place now. And we're moving on. All that stuff that happened before, that shit doesn't matter now.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I felt about it.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a big thing that we'll bring up, of course, in this episode that seems like it gets brought up and settled pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a short episode. It's only like 23 minutes, this one. 24 minutes.
Yeah, and everybody except for Jessa gets some play in it.
Yeah, and she's in it, but she doesn't really get a scene.
She has two lines in this epised. And
maybe some overlapping lines, yeah, but maybe like two like clear her lines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like we can break it down by characters too.
Yeah,
so
man.
this episode's right in our wheelhouse. There's no confusion. This is very straightforward.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that, we can eliminate Jessa. She only has two lines. She doesn't really contribute anything. Mm-hmm. But some other major players, aside from Hannah, Marnie, and Shoshanna, we got Adam's got a story, and Ray Polshansky's got his own story too.
You know what I think is this is going to be interesting. I think we finish on the boys.
Oh, we finish on the boys. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So would you like to start with Shoshanna then, perhaps?
Yeah, I got some thoughts.
All right. So Shoshanna's story basically opens up with her at another job interview, and the guy that she's, interviewing with, his company is like a ramen noodle place, and it's his own take on it, I guess, and it's named after his ex-girlfriend. Was it Miss Tinsley or something?
Madam Tinsley Instant Soup, and there's a bunch of like mock-ups of different like people in it, and it's funny because in the time with the Aunt Jemima controversy and everything, they had like one mock-up that was like an Uncle Ben's rice type, like black and white, like black lady with the bonnet on her head.
Yeah.
They had all these different mock-ups.
So Shoshanna is basically, she's applying to be a marketer or some kind of marketing position at this place. Mm-hmm. And after the guy kind of gives his speech about what the company's all about, she's like, okay, well, first of all, I absolutely fucking hate this name. So if you want me to market this, you're going to have to change the name. And And she's just like tearing into this guy.
I mean, she goes ham on him. Like, she is like ripping him like she went to school with him and hates his success.
Yeah, so she's basically like, this is like such a bullshit ass dream. Is this really your dream that you get to accomplish, that you get to run a fucking soup place? And oh wow, you're such a Harvard grad, interesting guy. Let me write a story about it in Holy Shit magazine.
Yeah.
And the guy, Scott, who's interviewing her, who's played by Jason Ritter,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, did I do something to you? Do I know you or something? Like, why are you being so aggressively mean about this? And she's just like, I don't know. It's just fucking stupid. This just job is stupid.
Yeah, she calls it Badusi.
Yeah.
Butt, dick, and pussy. He's like, what is that? Like,
Yeah.
he just makes up some like term. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, she said that the soup smells like Badusi. I'd never heard of it before either. And he's rightfully like, what's the matter with you? Like, did I do something to you? Like, did I offend you in some way? Like, why are you being so weirdly aggressive and bizarre about this? And she's just like, well, this place fucking sucks. So then she gets up, he stands up, and then he's like, well, obviously you don't want this job. And obviously I'm not going to give this job to you. But would you like to go out sometime? I was like, why?
I know. It's like that. It becomes so sitcom-y. Like, she just somehow negged her way into a date with this guy when she was awful to him. I mean, just awful. Like, he's like, oh, this your dream? He's like, my dream to like run my own business that I started with my two friends. And like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like, there's a bunch of businesses like that. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just, it's weird because she hasn't learned anything from her last interviews at all. Like, I don't get why she's like going on interviews at places she doesn't want to work at anymore, or why she's judging. Because at first it seemed like he was going to be like, oh well, she shits on the job right away, and then he says, hey, you haven't worked any real job, so you have no like place to talk about
that
it.
was a great scene where she was like, this is such a bullshit job. And he's like, well, we have people that are applying that have had real jobs.
Yeah.
She's like, I've had real jobs. He's like what? Like camp counselor? And she's like, well, that's actually a really hard job. He's like, isn't it usually done by teenagers?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I mean, you've never done it, so you wouldn't know. He's like, I'm talking about real adult jobs, like that adults have had.
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't get why she's coming in so ham on like, shouldn't she just be like, oh man, the real world's tough. I need to just I don't know. She still has the high standard. She didn't get knocked down from that last meeting where she got called out for attitude. The attitude's still there. So it's like, I don't really want to watch her keep going on job interviews. Just get her in the workplace. Like, do what you do.
I don't want to see her go out with this guy.
Oh, and
I was like, why the fuck?
We might not ever see that.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I was like, why the fuck? This girl just like tore down your dream, like your company that you own. This girl has never had a job. This girl's basically a fucking bum. Mm-hmm. She's a bum that doesn't have a job. She just interviewed. She's never had a real job. And she's trashing you, a quote unquote, like, success. Like, I feel like even if you have your own business and you're trying and you get it somewhat off of the ground, that's success to me.
Where you're actually able to like hire and pay an employee, you've reached a level of success at that point.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, you trashed all of this about me and all of my like kind of work. You want to go out? No. Like, no.
There's nothing about her that says that's the person I need to date. And I saw it coming when he stood up and stopped her from storming out. And I was like, oh, I hate this.
Yeah, I hated that. Yeah. Absolutely hated it. Yeah. So Shoshanna says yes. Mm-hmm. And then the next time we see Shoshanna, she's in a bar with all the girls. And should we
do that bar scene as like the end of Hannah and just like wrap everyone else up on that? Or should we talk about it now?
Yeah, you know what? We'll save it. We can go to Marnie now.
Yeah, exactly.
So Desi and Marnie, we open up their story with them fucking, and Marnie's wearing a long sweater that covers every single. Desi's completely nude. See his ass. See his a load of his naked body. Marnie is still with this camera trickery. This isn't even camera
That's like-
trickery. She's just wearing like an entire shirt that covers like you don't even see like a glimpse of her butt in this sex
No.
scene. It's insane.
Yeah.
Nobody fucks like that.
It,
Nobody fucks like that often, you know?
I feel like there's like porn that are like clothed female naked man or something. Like and that's
Yes,
like,
yes. Dancing bear.
yeah, and it's like he's completely stripped down. Like
Yeah, he's naked.
yeah,
And she's wearing like a long it's impressive.
yeah.
But
the worst
they're
part
fucking-
about this is I think you're about to say it that they're fucking to
they're
their own
fucking to their own music.
music. Gross.
Yeah. I wrote a joke one time because one time I was hooking up with a girl and I just had my shit on shuffle for some reason, and my friend is in a band and one of his songs came up and I heard my friend's band and I was like, oh, this feels weird. I couldn't imagine fucking to like my own music.
Their
'Cause
own music that they're making together, not just like oh
Yeah.
it's Desi's song or oh it's Marnie's song. It's like it's gross.
Yeah. It's one of those things that is just gross when you think that would be romantic when you see it, but it's just like, oh.
Yeah, you're supposed to make beautiful music, not listen to your music that you make when you're making it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So after they're done fucking, Marnie checks the download count and it's at like 100 downloads or something. And she's like, this is awesome. Like, this is really cool. Like, we're already at 100. And Desi's like, yeah, it's pretty cool, I guess. You know, maybe it's something blah, 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 blah. And then Marnie brings up, like, I feel like we should make this song one of our showcase songs. And apparently there's some kind of showcase that they're in where they only get to do 2 songs from their discography or whatever.
Yeah, and the song they're listening to is her, it's that like ballad or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a song that Marnie wrote. And Desi's kind of like, I mean, it's a good song. I don't know if it's really necessarily our best song to put in our showcase. And she's like, well, what are our top songs? And he lists like a load of songs that they've written together and they all sound really stupid, like just based off of the titles.
Yeah.
And Marnie brings it up like, I feel like you don't like this song because I wrote it and you want to have your songs in the showcase. And then they get into like a debate about like what their direction is. And Marnie thinks they're like she and him, only they're actually in love. And Desi's like, there's no fucking way we're like she and him. And then he has like a weird meltdown about it.
Yeah. Because that happens before she brings up the writing part. I don't know she and him. I don't know the band. I don't know the music.
It's Zooey Deschanel and I think a guy named M. Ward.
Okay.
And it's just like acoustic. It's basically what they're doing.
Yeah. I forget what he called it. He was like indie folk with a...
It's like Americana folk with an indie edge.
Yeah. And then she just goes on about like how she's doing all the writing and he takes offense to that. He's like, I'm working on my motorcycle because it's my mode of transportation. And when my baby's sick, I can't get around. I'm like, geez. Like,
well, also, she's like, you wrote all of our other songs and I wrote this one. And then she's like, I'm doing all the writing. It's like, no, you're not.
Did she? I think she's probably doing all the writing now of all the new stuff.
Okay.
Or like it is
was...
weird. It is kind of weird because he says, "Oh, I think you don't like it because this is the one I wrote," and then she says, "I've been doing all the writing." So it is kind of contradictory that if she's been doing all the writing, the other songs that he named would have been songs that she worked on too.
Yeah, and also all the writing, like she's just writing lyrics. I mean, she has no music.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
oh, you mean if he's doing the melody and all of that? Yeah, that's the second half of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just like, what are you? How can you be doing all of the right? Like, you don't play guitar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like without him, you have nothing. You just have poetry. You know.
Yeah. And I feel like we don't. I mean, I just feel like this is just forced like writing music drama, because
Yeah.
like they probably would make this music, make the song, then kind of work on the lyrics together. You know, like while they're doing it, it's like, oh, what about we switch this line here? Like, I think it'd be more collaborative. You would hope, since they're like living together and making a lot of tracks. Apparently, like they have a lot of tracks right now. And I don't know if Desi is still acting, or if Adam is still acting, because they were in a Broadway play. Like, it seems like, and he was on a CW show. Like, it seems like he'd still have a little bit, his foot in a little bit of acting roles. But
no, that traction's all gone, Vance. They've moved on. Yeah, they had one success on Broadway, and they're like, "That's enough. I'm good. I accomplished everything."
And they found their ladies, and they're like, "We're good."
Yeah. So Marnie's already unhappy with Desi, and Desi does come off like a fucking head case in this.
I mean, he's been awful this whole.
Yeah, I hate that guy.
The weirdest thing is, I thought it was going to be interesting to have Desi be Adam's friend.
Yeah.
That's how it started out. Like, oh, we're going to see Adam have someone that he goes to talk about issues with Hannah or something, you know? But no, they have not been in the same room since that Broadway show.
Yeah. And that kind of wraps up Marnie for the time being before we get to that bar scene. Mm-hmm. So Hannah wakes up in her apartment alone, but she is not alone. She goes to get a bowl of cereal. The cereal is all empty. And guess who moved back with her? It's Elijah.
This guy is a level 5 clinger.
That guy is I was talking about Shoshanna being a bum. Elijah's a fucking bum. He's a vagabond. Like, what the fuck?
Why is he just back now?
Yeah. So Elijah ate all of her cereal, and she has like a mental breakdown about it. And it's not just about the cereal.
Yeah. And he knows it too. Like,
he's just like, wow, you are unstable.
But there's two great things in here. The refrigerator magnets are back.
They're back. I noticed that too.
And Cinnamon Toast Crunch is the cereal, and that's one of the best. It's not healthy for you, but it's delicious.
Dude, I currently have like off-brand Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and it sucks. It's not the same. For Cinnamon Toast Crunch, you gotta get the name brand.
Oh, I mean, now that is what the instant soup place needs. They need that Cinnamon Toast Crunch like trademark, that logo, that bright color.
Yeah, dude. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is so banging. Dude.
Yeah.
And so that's the tiny little scene. Is there really anything else to glean from that?
No, just that Elijah's back. He's going down with the ship of Hannah. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
He showed up in Iowa. Like, that's crazy.
He showed up in Iowa, and then like a week after Hannah came back, he was like, "Oh, Hannah's gone. I guess I'll move back to New York with Hannah." Like what?
Yeah, man.
So crazy.
Yep.
And he sleeps with the door open. What a maniac.
Tidy whitey too.
Yeah, like maniac. Like, I sleep with my door open, but I live alone. Like, if I have a roommate, I'm not sleeping with my door open.
Yeah.
Fucking psycho. So now Hannah, next thing we see with Hannah, she's talking to her therapist about, Adam, Mimi Rose deciding not to stick with Iowa anymore. And the therapist is like very impressed with her and impressed with her progress and her self-awareness of being like, yeah, this wasn't for me. And like, I'm having a hard time with this Adam and Mimi Rose thing. And he's like, yeah, I mean, you should be having a hard time. That's a difficult thing to be going through.
Especially because she's so thin and well to do. And she's like, wait, how do you know this? Like, did you Google her? And he's like, I could just tell by the way you described her.
Yeah. Do you think he Googled her?
Oh, he absolutely did.
Absolutely Googled her because he described her to a T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people gotta realize, like, therapists are still people, Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think that people don't understand about therapists, too. Like, they think that therapists are like these, above everyone. They have this sage wisdom and all this stuff. Like, I know therapists and their lives are also fucked up,
Yeah.
you know?
No.
I knew a girl who was a therapist, and I told her that I didn't drink or smoke or do any drugs or anything. And she literally said to me, "How do you deal with your emotions?" And I was like, "You're a therapist. Like you should know." And I was like, "What do you do?" And she's like, "I'll smoke a bunch of weed if I'm like upset about it." I was like, "Dude, that's not healthy."
She's like, "Oh man, you're having a rough day. Let me write you a prescription for a 6-pack."
Yeah, I'm like, dude, shouldn't you know how people should deal with their emotions? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like I think about them and I feel them and
Yeah.
I process them. And she's like, "Oh, that's better more than me." I'm like, how are you helping people?
She's like,
what are
drown
you
that in
fucking-
weed and booze. What are you doing?
Oh, you're having a hard time at your job? Here, take some heroin.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, but like that's the thing. They're just people too. They're not faultless.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be the best therapist and the worst person, you know? Or
Very true.
Yeah. So
So he's basically telling her like she's very happy with how mature she's taking all this, and she's kind of like rolling with the punches, but she doesn't really know what direction she's going in life anymore. And he's like, "Well, let me tell you about all this stuff that you've been doing. And it seems like you're a helper. Like you want to help people. Like when you wanted to go to Iowa, it wasn't because of what you wanted. It's because you wanted to make your mom happy and you wanted to impress your friends and have, I don't know how that was helping or whatever, but like the mom thing, I guess." And there was a couple other examples. I can't remember what they were. But
yeah, the mom was a big one. Getting to Iowa was like to impress her friends. Like that's what she was thinking about more than, oh, I have this great chance with this writing program. Yeah, I think that was mostly what they brought up.
Yeah, I didn't take what she. Oh, that's what she was talking about. She was talking about how the reason she wanted to be a writer is because when she was reading great writers, it helped her through hard times, and she wanted to be a writer so she could help other people through hard times as well. And he was like, "Oh, that means like you're a helper. You wanted to go to Iowa because it would help your mom and blah blah blah."
Yeah.
So maybe you should do something that like helps people. And she's like, "Huh, I guess I'm a helper." Do you buy that? Do you think that that's a good
it's one
diagnosis?
Of those, it's one of those like season 1 Jessa reduxes, like, "Oh yeah, no, Hannah." Oh, and I do like the next scene that we end up with when they're all at the meal. Like they don't let that just become a thing, like because it really doesn't make any sense. It doesn't track at all. Yeah.
Like even the stuff that she's telling the therapist, and I feel like people when they go to therapists, they don't tell them everything,
Yeah.
I feel like she's not telling him everything. I think that she's trying to like, make herself seem to be still good and like she wants her therapist to see her in a positive light, I feel like, because she wants everyone to see her in a positive light.
Well, I mean,
what I mean?
He's been pretty good at seeing through her BS most of the time. Most of the scenes that we've seen him in,
Yeah.
So I feel like she's just kind of spitballing, and he seems really anxious to like get her to the point where, oh yeah, this is great. Like he seems like he's doing a lot more positive reinforcement now than he had in the previous scenes. So I don't know. I think he just sees like a glimmer of her doing something positive, and he's trying to like feed it.
Yeah, it's trying to push her in that direction.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I gathered, but
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then now we get to the bar scene. Unless you had something else to add?
No, not at all. Yeah, let's go to the bar scene.
So we go to the bar. It's all the girls plus Elijah, and Elijah is regaling the girls with the story of why he left Iowa. It's because he was basically running that fucking place. He was already the manager at JCPenney. He was dating a mayoral candidate. And it's like he was doing all this great stuff, but he felt so empty. So he decided, I'll just come back and be bored with you dummies or whatever.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where it was like, let's have him rant a bunch of information and just make a snarky comment, and then we'll forget that he just left Iowa.
Yeah.
Like he should have stayed in Iowa. Like, he should not be back
He was
right now.
flourishing in Iowa.
Like, he should at least stayed and come back like end of the season or something. Like, I know you want the actor, we all want Elijah in it, but it seems like him coming back with something, or like, I don't know, it just seems like there should have been something gleaned from him going to Iowa.
I feel like there should have been
like an anecdote that he just says, like the photography thing he was doing, like like what is it? Like, it becomes nothing.
I would have enjoyed like a phone call between he and Hannah about like, where'd you go?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm back in New York. And then him be like, oh, well, then I'm fucking going back to New York, you know?
Yeah. Or something like, what, you like Iowa? Like, you like what you're doing out there. Like, now it's like he has to be with Hannah, and it's like, why?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they're destined to be lovers.
Maybe they're the forever couple.
Maybe. Oh.
A little callback.
Yeah. So he tells that story. Shoshanna tells a story about how she went on a stupid job interview and she hated it. And she's decided that she's just not going to have a job. And she's just going to basically be a trophy wife. And she's going to go out with Scott, the soup guy, and just be the wife to his soup fortunes.
She's like, I'm going to be the wife of this soup mogul.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, she went on an interview, bombed the interview purposely. Like, she could have gotten that job. They seem like if he was that attractive, he would have given her the job, you know?
Absolutely.
And she bombed it. And because she bombed her own job interview, she's like, I'm done with job searching. Like, she's given up on her 5-year plan of being a major businesswoman. Remember, she have a 10-year? What was the plan she had? She had like
I think it was a 10-year, or like I think it was a 5-year plan.
I think it was something absurd though. 5 is normal. I think it was like 10 or something.
I also like that she bombed the interview, trashed the guy's dream, said that it's like not going to be a success, and then she's like, "I'll just marry this guy, and he's going to be a soup mogul." It's like, you just said that he wasn't going to be successful,
and I'll just be like my mom. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Her mom, who's divorced from her dad with the same name.
Yeah. Then Marnie tells her like, "Oh, you shouldn't fucking go out with that guy. That guy seems selfish, and you should put yourself first, because if you start going out with selfish assholes, you're gonna regret it." And then it's basically being like, Desi's a selfish asshole, which he is, and Desi sucks. And then Hannah's like, Jesus, you fought so hard for this relationship and you hate this guy already. And she's like, I know. It's ridiculous. But I mean, turns out that guy's a fucking asshole. What can I say?
Yeah, she's like, Marnie's like, I don't know what's wrong with me. And I love that Hannah called it out. It's like, come on. Like, yeah. Like, and you guys can't split this relationship because you have so much business tied into it.
I know. That's what's crazy is like, you can't, you don't know how to play guitar. So if you take it to erase Desi from this equation, you're just a singer that has no music, you know?
And he's just a guitarist with no lyricist. Like, I guess he sings too a little bit.
Yeah, he sings too, but I don't know, man. His songs all seem pretty shitty.
I mean, they're writing songs for a show, so I'm like, who knows? I mean, whatever. I mean, they're not trying to do what's that movie, Once or whatever.
Yeah.
They're not like this isn't really a music based show, so I'll give them a pass on it. And plus, I think their music shouldn't be that good. Like, success or no success, I don't think if they were really good, it would be like.
I like the level of good that they're at.
Yeah.
Because it's like realistic. Like, you could listen to it and you'd be like, "Oh wow, you did that. That's really impressive. That's really good. That's a good song."
Yeah.
But it's not like top of the charts type shit.
And I mean,
like
we were all surprised that Marnie / Allison Williams could sing. She has a good voice.
I know. Yeah. As soon as they started to go to like, oh, we have a meeting at a record label, it was like, off of what? How did you finagle that?
Yeah. And not just a meeting where they like are into you.
Yeah. And like they're shopping offers. I'm like, how easy is it to get a fucking meeting at a record label? Jesus.
They were like, we heard that brunch performance. We left before you got heckled by kids and stormed out. But we loved what we heard. I don't know. Maybe Desi had some connections or something, but I was shocked when it was like, yeah, we got all these record label meetings. Like, how? You have like 3 songs. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where Hannah reveals to the group that she's like, well, I've got a big announcement. I've decided that I'm a helper and I'm going to change my career trajectory to be a helper, and I'm going to be someone who helps people. And everyone was like, what are you fucking talking about? And she's like, I was talking to my therapist, and he said that I'm like a really good person that helps other people. And every single person at this table pipes up and they're like, you'd be a terrible helper. You're the most selfish person we know.
I almost stood up and like and applauded that statement. I was like, yes.
Like Marnie and Elijah especially went in like, what are you talking about? You're the most selfish fucking person. What are you how could you possibly think that you're a helper?
Marnie's example was amazing. She's like, when we lived together, you kept the fire extinguisher in your room so that you would have it first. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
And then so after everyone kind of trashes her, she's like, well, then what should I do? Because what did she say that she wanted to do at first?
I don't recall.
Me neither. I think that she may have said that she was like, I'm going to be a teacher.
I think she got that from Elijah. It was a lot of people are going to hate us for this because there was a lot of back and forth in this conversation where Jess is calling her out and Shoshanna. There's a lot of overlapping dialogue. And then Elijah goes on his long rant. And then she goes, oh, Elijah, you might have stumbled upon something. And then she says, teacher.
Okay, that's
because
true.
he says something. I know in his rant he mentioned someone in a like Lifetime movie, Mayim Bialik's stunt double. Like he just goes on like this crazy tangent.
Cosplaying as Tennille from The Captain and Tennille.
They just let him go.
Like, all of them had like a zinger that was like pretty accurate. But then she was like, you know what? Actually, it would be a good idea is if I were to be a teacher. And then Jessa says, you know what they say, those who can't do teach. And then Hannah embraces that. I thought that was really funny. She's like, yeah, exactly. I can't do, so I'll teach.
I thought she was going to take offense to it. But yeah, she just was like, yes, this is perfect.
a funny turnaround to be like, yeah, you're right. I can't do it, so I'll teach it.
Yeah. And I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, Hannah as a teacher.
Yeah.
It's almost fitting in a way because she can be in control of the narrative of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, we'll see how this pans out.
Yeah. So, after that, she decides to be a teacher. And then she's making her resume, and by the end of the episode, she's walking into a school. It's like, don't you need to fucking go to grad school to be a teacher? Like, don't you need to do some kind of course?
Well, she was at Iowa. Well, she was at Iowa.
Maybe not for... I'm pretty sure you don't need to for private schools. Because I went to a private high school, and my teachers were just like graduates of my high school that they brought back. They didn't go to like grad school for teaching or anything.
Yeah.
And it looks like she is walking into a private school, like some kind of Catholic school.
I don't know. I don't know how private or... I don't even know what the deal is. And she's walking in at the time when everyone goes to school, it seems like. She's walking in like with the students, which...
Yeah.
I feel like you'd show up kind of like 9. Like, high school was very early. Which is always crazy when I think back about how early school starts. But... I think that's just so parents can drop kids off before they go to their 9 to 5s. But she's walking in with the whole group. I don't know.
She did that cliche thing of like she's walking down the street and then she stands in front of it, takes a breath, and then walks in.
And the camera like sees her take the breath and then goes around her and then like tilts down so you can see like it's a building.
Yeah. It's the most cliche shot in television film.
Yeah.
So cliche, dude.
It gets the job done.
Yeah. And that's basically where we wrap up with Hannah.
Yeah.
So I feel like now we should get to Ray Polshansky.
Yeah. We're keeping his thread going.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Ray is still upset about this streetlight thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes to a city council meeting and he's like got a diorama of like fucking
the street around the
street.
buildings.
He wants to give examples. He's in a suit.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell. And he's also like the youngest person at the city council meeting.
Yep.
And that is 100% true. My mom used to run like these, it was like a neighborhood council meeting for my neighborhood in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And she used to be the president of it. And it's all the oldest people in the world. And the complaints in it are all like the complaints that are in this. And it's just so boring.
At one point, there's like an old guy complaining about lamps so he could read. And I wasn't sure until they bring it up later to solve this. But I was like, is he asking for lamps for his own house?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Because they didn't like mention, I don't think they mentioned library at first.
Yeah.
And then Ray, when he goes on his tangent, like brings up that. And I was like, okay, cool. That guy's not just super weird. Because I wasn't sure which angle they were going to take it. If all the people complaining were weird or the council members were weird at that point.
So Ray signs up and he is fourth on the day's docket because he wants to talk about it. The lady's like, cute diorama. And he's like, thank you. I worked really hard on it. And so he's like, goes and he takes a seat. And it's like the old man complaining about the lamps. Mm-hmm. And he's just kind of droning on and on. And then the next time you see Ray, as Ray's asleep, he's passed out at this city council meeting because that's exactly what would happen. Mm-hmm. Those are so boring. And it's just old people rambling on. Mm-hmm. And it's at the stand now is some woman named Kitty. And I forget what her complaint was. But
yeah, I don't remember her complaint.
It's something inconsequential, like pretty much everything that goes on at these city council meetings. And then Mark Maron, the city council member, is like, you know what? This is taking too long. Let's just adjourn for today, and we'll talk about everything else next week. Mm-hmm. And then Ray stands up, and he's like, no. I signed up to be on today's docket, and we've only gotten through we haven't gotten through any of this. Like, this is bullshit. I just wasted my whole day sitting here because I wanted to talk to you, and you're just going to adjourn? And then Mark Maron's like, I don't care what you have to say. We're adjourning. This happens all the time. You know, like, we don't get to everything on the day's docket, so you'll be on next week's docket. And then Ray loses his shit.
As he should. I mean, this is the inefficiency of the political system. Of like, if everything keeps getting pushed back a week, and someone took their day off, like, you have to finish the stuff because then things just pile up. But they don't care because they don't plan to do anything.
Well, I was wondering, like, how far into the docket did they get? Because Ray was number 4.
Yeah, I didn't hear that he was number 4. But if he's number 4, why are these... The complaint about the lamps can't be longer than...
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
10 minutes.
Like, how long were these people complaining for, you know? And, like, what number did they get to?
Yeah.
We don't find that out, but Ray stands up, he loses his shit. He takes umbrage with the way that this is meeting. He's like, this is bullshit. These are your taxpayers, and you guys are so inefficient, and this is disorganized, and this is bullshit, basically. And then all of the city council members start bickering at each other because Mark Maron apparently stole from the
petty cash or something.
And one guy shows up drunk all the time.
He's the one that's sitting to Mark Maron's left, camera right, and he's the one that you could see it in his face when Ray comes up that he kind of is like, we aren't doing anything, but then Mark Maron brings it up for being drunk. And then he gets called out. Then this other woman calls Mark Maron out for like going to a bar and cheating on his wife. And
then Mark Maron calls her out for her convict husband.
Yeah. And then the petty cash thing comes out, and it's just all this bickering between the council members. And
I mean, also the guy that was drunk, he was basically like, when was the last time we ever approved anything? Like, we don't do anything here. And then Mark Maron's like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, you can't remember the last time. Wow, amazing. Yeah. And Ray's watching all of this, like, fall out in front of him, and he's just like, this is fucked up, dude. Like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
This is inefficient. And then the next time we see Ray, Joe's prediction comes true. Ray is creating a photoshopped image for him running for city council because he wants to make change in the community. I'm so happy that I called that.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because it seems like the tangent that would happen, but this show always does the unexpected, so I was just not on board with. I wasn't believing it ever happened.
When we zig, they zag, you know? This time, Joey Boy was right.
Well, and it's also interesting that everything good that comes from his life comes from Shoshanna, not necessarily negging him, but like pushing him in a direction to be better.
Yeah.
Like,
she did.
Yeah,
she did tell him to like go to a city council meeting.
Yeah, and like he's got his business and like is focused. I mean, he didn't luck into the business, but it kind of happened with the Colin Quinn character, his old boss, being like, "Hey, I have this thing, you can run it," and him like because of that push, being like, "Sure, I'll do it." Like, I don't think he probably would have accepted it or felt like weird about accepting it. But now, and he's the perfect mentality to be a city council member. Like, when he sees injustice or wrongdoing, it really like gets his ire, you know. So
yeah,
he would be.
You think he becomes you think he becomes corrupt? You think he becomes a crooked politician?
I don't know if he'd become corrupt, but I do think he'd be able to fight. He'd be able to argue with the corrupt people. You know what I mean? Like, he will not back down. Like, if you're crazy enough to go to knock on car windows in New York, because of honking, like, yeah.
Here's what I think. I think that he would be the type of person to like want to stop the corruption and like not take the money, and then all the politicians are going to be corrupt, and so then he's just gonna get no one's gonna work with him. Or he'll get booted because he's trying to do justice and he doesn't like grease the palms of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's all just so dirty and money hungry. It's such a power. It's like power and money. That's all politics really is. Just a game to him. But I feel like for him, and this is small level. Like, I mean, who knows? He could run for mayor in future seasons or whatever. But for this, I think being able to help the neighborhood out, being able to help like the little district, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. I feel like that's a perfect place for him to be. Because like he lives in that neighborhood. I guess his business is probably in that neighborhood.
Yeah, and I'm sure his business is like more or less self-sustaining now. Like, he doesn't have to be at his coffee shop every day. Like, he doesn't have to I don't think he has to fully manage. I think he's like owning now too, you know. So
yeah.
So
that's good. That's where Ray wraps up. And now we get to the main event of the evening. Adam Sackler and Mimi Rose Howard.
What is her middle name? I should have wrote it down.
I think it's Esther or something. It starts with an E.
Eleanor, right?
Maybe.
I don't know.
We're just as bad as Adam.
Yeah. He thought Rose was her middle name, which is fair enough.
Very fair.
Yeah.
Very fair.
Yeah.
Who's named Mimi Rose as just a first name with a hyphen? Do you know anyone with a hyphenated first name?
Mimi Rose, you're living in a loft and you're an artist and you just carry big flowers around.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Your name defines you in a weird way.
Very true. She's a sculptor. Yeah. So we start off with Adam waking up with Mimi Rose,
a construction worker.
We start off with Adam waking up at Mimi Rose's enormous New York loft.
I'm happy you brought that up because this is the first thing I thought. The last episode, when they were like, we're going to stay at Adam's sister's place downstairs. Why? Why were they acting like they couldn't? When Hannah just went into that room, I'm like, guys, Mimi has a huge loft. Just stay there. Like, they treated it like they couldn't live without being at Adam's place for some reason.
Dude, even if all of Adam's shit is at Hannah's apartment, leave that shit, dude. That loft is amazing. Like, fucking. You don't need that.
Yeah.
Start anew.
Yeah, exactly. Just built from the ground up there. Yeah.
So they're I mean, it's a huge, beautiful apartment.
Yeah.
Adam wakes up, he like kisses Mimi Rose, tucks her in, all this shit, makes her an enormous breakfast on her back patio.
Mm-hmm. Not just, and it's not, it seems private too. It's not just like she lives in one of those buildings that has like roof access, because there's a ton of those in Bushwick. But yeah.
So he makes her this beautiful breakfast. She's all happy about it. She's got on. This is something that bugs me in television. All right. Joe's fashion corner for a little bit.
We haven't had one. We haven't had a real one in a while.
Yeah. Pajamas. Those pajamas. And people that have like pajama suits like that Mimi.
Yeah.
I fucking hate those. I absolutely hate them. They're ugly as fuck. They harken back to like the 1950s. And I also feel like almost no one has them.
Well, that is interesting because I'm not a pajama person. I think I had like one like cheap, like that, like if you buy underwear in a pack, like they had like a pajama like top and pants thing that I bought once, and I was like, I'll use this in case, like years and years ago, in case I go to like a pajama party or something at some point, like, but I'm not I'm not dressing up to go to sleep. I'm not putting on clothes to go to sleep. Especially in a time where we have like, climate control and air conditionings, and
it makes no sense. Like you take off all of your clothes for the day to put on a suit like with buttons.
Yeah, I don't want to sleep with buttons. That's the one thing I do not want buttons on something I'm sleeping in.
I knew one person that had pajamas like that, and it was a British girl. Mm-hmm. And when she was like putting them on, I was like, "What are you doing? Just get a t-shirt and shorts."
See, I can give a pass on the pajama pants.
Okay, I can give a pass on the pants.
Yeah.
But the button-down shirt, no. Unacceptable.
Well, you wouldn't sleep in it. You could, if you're walking around the house or something, you could have the pajama top like on, just like if you're walking around the house doing stuff. But if you're going to bed, you're putting on a t-shirt or something.
I refuse. Not even walking around the house. There's no purpose for that shirt. That shirt's awful.
Yeah.
Get a robe.
Yeah.
I don't have a robe, but I'll prove a robe.
Okay.
Get a kimono.
Approves robes.
Get a kimono. Get a robe. Get a t-shirt. T-shirt's so much easier to put on than buttoning an entire pajama shirt.
What if you have shoulder injury and you can't put the shirt over your head?
Kimono or robe.
And bare boob it? Just bare boob it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You think she's wearing a bra underneath of the pajama shirt?
No, but a pajama shirt, she doesn't need to wear the bra under because she is buttoned up.
Why not?
If she's wearing a robe, I mean, I guess she could cinch. Yeah. I always think robes open. I never think of robes cinch. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
What's the matter with you?
I don't know. I just always think flowing open robe.
Yeah. Well,
unless you're getting out of like a shower or something, like a all cinched up, like that seems like
I don't know why. I just think that those pajama suits are the least attractive thing. They're so awful to me. They literally make my stomach like turn.
I obviously don't have that strong of feelings about them, but I do think it's one of those really, it's one of those things that's perfectly set up for TV. Like, because you need them to get out of bed and you need them to be clothed usually. And this show, like, they could get away without it, but I think it's just like a character type that they're trying to do for Mimi. But other shows, like, oh no, it's middle of the night, the kids got to wake up, and it's like some regular like network sitcom. You're just not having everyone run down t-shirt. It's like Full House. They're dressed up in full attire, just hanging around the house, like button downs tucked in to jeans, like just walking around the house during the day. It's a Saturday. Put on some sweats, guys.
Yeah,
but that's not TV. That's not TV ready, you know?
I was kind of half expecting Mimi Rose to have that like night cap too, that little elf cap that fucking people wore. It's awful.
They had to wear that because it was so, you know, the temperature, you know? That's the only reason.
Stupid.
Yeah.
So stupid. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it.
All right, that was a long fashion corner.
And she wears it through the whole episode.
It looked like she had on scrubs in the last scene. When she's talking to Adam outside.
I thought she was still wearing those.
Yeah, okay.
I think she was still wearing those pajamas. But anyway, so Adam's like doing something. She's talking about how like happy she is that Adam moved in, brought all of his old books because he's got these old encyclopedias that are interesting, and they still say that Columbus discovered America. What? How quaint. How silly. And they're reading, and he's like, "You want to go for a run?" And she's like, "No, I don't really feel like going for a run." He's like, "Come on, let's run. I like to watch your boobs bounce and your ponytail bounce and your body bounce." And he starts like bouncing her.
Did you think at this moment that creepy Adam was coming back out?
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
I was like, why does he get this creepster in relationships?
Well, like, why do people give him a pass for it? Like, that's so creepy.
Yeah. It wasn't like charming, playful boyfriendness. It was like bordering on. Yeah.
I mean, maybe it could be seen as that. I don't know.
I mean, the way he was playing it, I was like, oh no, this is Adam with Natalia again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so she's like, "Nah, I really don't want to go on a run." He's like, "Come on, let's run." She's like, "I can't." And he's like, "Why not?" She's like, "I had an abortion yesterday." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah. Can't really go on a run. Can't really put a tampon in. Can't do." I think there was like another thing that she said that she couldn't do.
For a week.
Can't have sex for a week. She's like, "Yeah, because, you know, I had an abortion. So you can go on a run. It'll be fine, but I'm going to chill here." And Adam's like, Are you joking right now? It's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" She's like, "I just thought that I'd get it done, you know, and it'd be cool."
Yeah.
He's like,
"Was it mine?" And she's like, "Of course."
Yeah. And he's like, "What the fuck is what?" She's like, "Who?" He said, "Who aborted you?"
Yeah.
And she's very nonchalantly just being like, "It was this doctor. She delivered my sister's baby." And then I was like, "Was it a boy or a girl?" She's like, "My cousin's baby was a girl." And he's like, "No, fucking our kid." And she's like, "I don't know. It was like not even at that point yet. It was just a bundle of cells." He's like, "Well, who did you go with?" She's like, "I went with my friend." And he's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And she's like, "I just wanted to get it done. You know, I just wanted to do it."
And like,
now,
and he like,
this is where,
because those are like two scenes because they cut away and cut back. And he like throws all the stuff off the table in like an angry Adam move.
Yeah.
My biggest issue with
well, hold on.
Wait,
hold on. So after he gets through all of the like, who did you go with? Who did it? She's like, "Did you want to have a baby?" And Adam's like, "Well, maybe. I mean, I just figured that we would have had a conversation about it." And then she was like, "Well, I did it because I didn't want to have this conversation." And that was basically where that kind of ended up.
And then it was something like, "You don't get it" or something. And
he said, "I don't." Yeah, he said, "I don't understand how you couldn't have told me about this and had a discussion." And then Mimi Rose said something like, "And you never will."
No,
or something like that.
No, it wasn't.
What did she say?
It wasn't that hard. It wasn't one of those.
It was like, "I don't understand." I know that Adam said, I don't understand how you could do this without me," basically. And she's like, "And you never will understand," or something like that.
You don't understand. She said, "You don't understand," or something like that.
Yeah.
My biggest, if I was gonna like critique Mimi Rose on any of this, it would be the nonchalant way of bringing it up. like she brings it up and then takes umbrage on Adam reacting to it. As if, like it's like she brought it up. She didn't want to have the conversation about it, which is why she didn't tell him. But then she brings it up nonchalantly, expecting that the conversation would not then be had afterwards, you know, like she's playing that like move where you are so calm while someone's upset to like take the high road. And I'm just like, it's fine. I'm not even criticizing her for doing it, because she could argue with Adam. He's like, I want you to keep it, and she has to carry a baby for 9 months, and people have their whole thoughts on abortion, whatever. I just thought it was weird that she brought it up so nonchalantly. Didn't try to make up an excuse for not running. Like, she was just like, no. Like, it wasn't even like they were about to have sex. She's like, I can't because I had abortion. Like, that seems like it'd be one of those times where you have to. Or she could just be like, I really don't want to go for a run right now. Like she didn't have to. It wasn't.
She could say, I got diarrhea.
yeah. Like, or like anything to not go on a run with Adam to disrupt like a street fair or whatever you wanted to do. But she just brings up so nonchalantly and then is weirded out that he has a reaction to it.
Yeah, well, she also doesn't know what his, stances or like feelings are. And as we've seen throughout the show, like in the first season, Hannah was talking about how she was going to the hospital with Jessa to get an abortion. Mm-hmm. And Adam's like, that's a pretty big fucking deal. Yeah. So this has been a consistent thing with Adam to be like, that's a pretty big deal. Like, that's a big thing that happens. Yeah. And when people react to abortions like nonchalantly, it kind of rubs him the wrong way or feels weird about it.
Well, there's a part where he asks, how many abortions have you had? And she's like, I'm not going to tell you. And she's like, how many women have you gotten pregnant? He's like, none until now.
Yeah. And I didn't even know. And I wouldn't have known,
Yeah. It's one of those things where if she would have never, ever, ever told him, right? Mm-hmm. Would that be fine?
I don't know. This is like getting into like a weird ethics thing.
Well, this is what this show does.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things to do something and not tell someone, but then to tell them. Like if you never told him, he never knows this. Or like you're deeper in the relationship. Let's say, hey, I had it.
Yeah.
One time. But for me, it's just the way it was brought up. It just felt like
it was very nonchalant, and especially because like you don't know how a person's going to react to that news. No. You know what I mean?
No.
Like if a woman did that same scenario and I'm in Adam's shoes, mm-hmm. I wouldn't have reacted like Adam.
Yeah.
But I would have been like, well, are you okay? Like, do you need anything? Like, what is there anything I can do? Like, mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about it? Like, is everything okay?
Yeah, like she had the benefit of time to process that she was going to get an abortion done.
Yeah.
He didn't have the benefit of time to process when she said it in a way that almost seemed like she was making a joke.
Yeah, it was like, I went to the store yesterday.
Yeah.
So I got an abortion.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's...
And it was an interesting way to handle... The show is doing a weird way of handling abortion. Because they brought it up twice. You mentioned the first season. Where, like, Jessa's, like, trying to skip her abortion.
Yeah, like, Jessa bails on it or something.
Was Jessa bailing on the abortion and just going to have the kid? Like, was she wanting to I forget, like, what?
Who knows, man?
I mean, she hooks up with a guy in a bar. Like, right now. But, yeah. And Mimi Rose apparently has probably done this more than once, it seems.
Yeah.
Just from context clues there. But.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's a very complex thing. And I don't, it's a very sticky situation that I'm like.
And we are boys. But everything I hear is like, it's not like women don't normally treat, from what I've heard, women don't normally treat getting an abortion like it's just picking up some groceries or going out. Yeah. Like it's a really big process to like think about it, consider it, have it done. Like it's something, Yeah. And it's just weird that she just is like, just something I did on a Tuesday.
Why do you think that she didn't want to do it with Adam or tell Adam or like have Adam come with her?
She didn't want Adam to try to talk her out of it, probably. Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking. And she didn't want to feel, I don't know, if she didn't want to feel the guilt about doing it, which I don't think she actually has any, it seems.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It seems like she's like, yeah, this is just what, this happens and this is what you do with it. I think I would think it'd be a great test of their relationship if she told him
and gauge how he reacted to it. You know?
Yeah.
Like, she's like, I'm going to get this, but I want to let you know. And, you know, like, nothing you say will, like, convince me to not get this abortion. But I do want you to know that this is happening. I'm not opposed to having kids with you later, maybe. Or whatever she's thinking.
Yeah.
Because that's when she brings up the middle name thing. Like, oh, what? We have this kid. And then we say, oh, you don't even know mom's middle name? He's like, it's Rose. She's like,
yeah. And she's like, it's Eileen or Esther or Eleanor or whatever, some E name.
Yeah.
But yeah, she brings up, so she's like, would you want to have a baby with me? And Adam's like, maybe. She's like, I don't think that'd be a very good idea. We've been dating for 7 weeks. And Adam's like, my parents got married after a week. Like, people do crazy shit all the time. Like, I just didn't have the option. You like stole that option from me. And she's like, it wasn't really an option for you, you know?
And at that point, that's where she gets into he's like, I don't understand. And she's like, you don't understand, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, it's not it's one of those things that's not fully his call, women's body, abortion rights. Like, then we get into the whole, like, unfortunate, like, politics of it all. But, Like, and I think that's what she wanted to avoid. But I also don't think he would have been, because the way he talks later, it seems like he's like, hey, I wanted to be there for you, you know, more so than, because that's what it comes down to. Like, he feels like he's not needed. She keeps stuff away from him. He's not a part of her life. And he's been with Hannah where, like, she leaned on him so hard. And now he's this independent person who's like, yeah, go do your own shit. I don't care.
Yeah. So basically after this conversation, Adam's like upset and he's like, I'm moving out. Fuck this. Like, this is crazy. Like, I can't deal with this. So he's packing up all of his shit while Mimi Rose is gone. He's got it all in a huge, like, backpack. And Mimi Rose has a big old bouquet of flowers that I'm guessing she's getting for Adam. Or I don't know.
There's just loft flowers.
Yeah.
Just flowers that
and
decorate the loft.
She basically runs into Adam as he's trying to, like, escape. And she's like, I wish that it didn't really have to come to this. Like, I really enjoyed having you here. And, like, why are you doing this, basically? And Adam's like, I mean, I don't feel needed. Like, you don't need me. You don't ask me to help you with anything. I don't ever know what you're doing. And, like, this abortion thing, like, it's just, I don't feel like you need me. And as soon as he kept saying, like, I feel like you don't need me, I knew that this line was coming. And Mimi Rose delivered it perfectly. She was basically like, well, yeah, I don't need you, but I want you. And I fucking rolled my eyes.
Well, and Mimi, Jillian Jacobs, her performance in this is very, like, understated and, like, monotone in a way. Like, she doesn't, like, and I think they're doing.
She has no emotions.
Yeah, I think they're doing.
It feels like there's no
Hannah.
Yeah,
where she is just like, well, this, like, she's very rational and just, like, says what she's thinking, and she's not, like, flying off the handle and be like, well, this is this, and she's not making up excuses. She's just saying, well, I like that you did this thing, and I don't know this, and your way your brain works, you just think things so differently in these little facts. And I think that works for her character, as listening to her lecture and the little we know about her. It seems fitting for her character. So,
yeah, that too. As Adam's, like, leaving, she doesn't seem very upset about it. She's very not, just like, yeah, I wish that you wouldn't be doing this. And it's like, doesn't anything upset this woman, you know?
She's a robot, man.
Yeah, she's just like, I mean, you know, I wish this wasn't happening, but I guess it is. So, toodle doo.
It was kind of like, I really enjoyed having you in the loft. And he's like, I enjoyed being here too. And she's like, well, she doesn't even say, do you want to stay? It's just like, well. And he just like,
and Adam's like, all right, I'll stay.
It's like, Adam, you don't got nowhere to go.
Yeah, where were you going? You're gonna stay at Ray's?
Bunk with Desi and Marnie.
Yeah.
Oh, that weird threesome.
So then Adam basically just sticks with her.
Yeah, I was like, we're not getting rid of Mimi Rose this early.
It does bother me, her lack of emotion.
Yeah, I just feel like they're doing an opposite Hannah with her.
Yeah, I guess.
You know what's interesting? It's interesting that we jumped to this with her so quickly. Like, this wasn't like 2 episodes down the line. Like, we just are finally seeing them live together. And this is the first, like, drama right off the bat. Like, heavy. Not like, dude, hey, Adam, can you not drum in the middle of the night or start using your bone saw on the kitchen table? It's just like, nah, abortion. Like, let's just go top level.
Do you feel like this is going to be a thing where Adam freaks out and he's just like, I can't do this. You're too normal?
I don't know what will break them up. But I think they're past this abortion level, you know? Yeah. I don't think this will be anything anymore. It'll be interesting to see if the 2 of them interact with the rest of the group again. Because Adam doesn't really have ties to the group besides Hannah, you know? And like,
that's
he
true.
can hang out with Ray. I guess he's still technically friends with Desi.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's not like, it's not like he'll see Jessa at AA probably. That's about.
Yeah. And that wraps up the episode basically.
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts, a lot of different stories going on.
Yeah.
Got a little glimpse into everyone's life except for Shoshanna, which is always except for Jessa, which is always a plus.
I will say I'm interested to see where everyone goes from this point. Like, I'm interested to see if Hannah gets a teaching job and if she actually likes it. I'm interested to see this Adam, Mimi Rose relationship, what happens with that. Interested to see how Marnie handles Desi.
Yeah. I'm interested to see if Shoshanna actually goes out with Jason Ritter and how that all plays out. Like, I don't know what about her charmed him.
It's rom-com. It's rom-com stories.
So stupid, dude. Like, so dumb. Like
where a person's just so clumsy and mean, and you're like, you very mean lady. I kind of love you for some reason. Like, what?
So dumb.
Yeah. Dude, you're about to be a soup mogul, man. You don't need Shoshanna's drama. You'll
be swimming in some soup vagina later, you know? Need that. Some Badusi or whatever.
What is it? Yeah, Badusi.
Badusi. That's the episode. Thanks for listening, everybody. Stay tuned next time for when we break down the episode Ask Me My Name. Thank you for listening. Later.